Before we get started, I'll just introduce the teachers that are on tonight that you will hear from. So we've got the Wubin teachers, which is Miss Powell, Miss Marcus, Miss Johnson, and Miss Lee. And we also have Mrs. Zamet here and Mrs. Romano, who are both working in Wubin Hub for RFF and learning and support. So thank you again for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And I will hand over to Miss Powell for the acknowledgement.
Hi, everybody. Today, we'd just like to start by acknowledging the Darawal people, who are the traditional custodians of this land, and recognise that their continuing connection to land, waters, and community. We pay our respects to them and their culture, and to elders both past and present, for they hold the memories, the traditions, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples across the nation.
Hello, I'd like to introduce myself. So my name's Miss Mary Marcus. I am one of the Wubin Hub teachers for 2022. And along with me is Miss Karen Lee, Miss Kate Powell, and Miss Brittany Johnson as well. Some additional Wubin teachers that we have in our hub currently. So we have Mrs. Anne Marie Romano and Mrs. Kylie Zamet, who are helping us out with relief, teacher relief time and support as well. And we've got Mrs. Sarah Batifant and Mrs. Natalia Garcia Omac, who are also in there helping us with support as well.
So we thought it might be fun to start off this evening by explaining the name of our hub, Wubin. All of the hubs at Denham Court Public School are named after a native Australian animal in the local Darawal language. So our hub is called Wubin, and that means the feather-tailed glider. So that's our animal.
So with our teaching philosophy, we have a very student-centered approach to education to ensure that all students' needs are being catered for. Our learning environments are very calm and collaborative, and it's an environment where students are able to take ownership for their learning and explore and discover through various projects. So here are some pictures of what it looks like in our hub. Over the next 2 slides, you'll also find that there are more photos of flexible learning spaces where students are able to take ownership for their learning and have their choice of seating. Flexible seating arrangements really supports the co-teaching model in our hubs. So as you can see, there's the project-based learning room, whiteboard tables for collaborative work, and some students engaging in group work as well, and whole class discussions.
Okay, so on the screen, you will see a brief outline of what our day may look like in Wubin. So we start off at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, and that is when we have our morning routine time where we mark the roll and we discuss things like days of the week and do some calendar work as well. In that morning session, all the kids will have a chance to have some fruit for their fruit break during crunch and sip. And then we do spend a lot of our morning session looking over literacy, working on our literacy learning. So that's when we do things like phonics and our phonemic awareness program, which is called Heggerty's. We also look at reading, writing, and speaking and listening during that time. Following on from our morning session, we do go into eating time a little bit earlier at 11:20 a.m. just to give the kids a bit of extra time to eat their lunch food. And then they do go off into the playground during that time. After lunch, we dedicate a lot of that middle session into our mathematics and numeracy. So we do things like number talks where students engage in sharing their mathematical thinking and reasoning, and then into our number lesson as well. We do sometimes use that middle session time as well to look into our project-based learning activities and work on those. Following on from that time, we do go into recess where kids do get a bit of extra time to have their recess food as well. And then they do go out to play. And then following on from play, we usually come in the afternoons and we dedicate that time to other key learning areas such as singing and dancing in the creative arts, and then get ready and organise the students ready for our afternoon dismissal. And in those photos, you can see some of those activities taking place.
So just on to crunch and sip and continuing on from routines, it's really important that the students have their fruit break in the morning session. Currently, we do that after our morning routine, and we usually have a little story time during fruit break as well, or crunch and sip. If you could please remind your child that because this is such a short break, if you can just pack your fruit or vegetables in their lunchbox ready to go, because it's only a short break, 10 to 15 minutes or so, it just makes it easier for them to have their fruit and veggies. I'd also like to add that our eating times have been extended for our kindergarten students. Usually it takes about 10 minutes, but we've extended that to 20 minutes just to ensure that they are eating all of their food and lunch during that time.
We do also have a school canteen, which operates Monday to Friday, and you can order and pay for the lunches online via the Quick Click website. You can also send your child to school with a little bit of money to purchase a snack at either recess or lunch. But we do ask just to have a conversation with your child if you're going to do that, so that they understand they need to keep the money safe, they need to hold on to it, and also just to have a quick word about not buying for other students. Obviously, as a COVID measure at the moment, we are still not sharing food for hygiene reasons.
Okay, so I'll be talking you through some of the literacy that is taking place in our hub. So our literacy is broken up into different textual forms through speaking and listening, reading and writing as well. So at the top, you can see phonics, where we learn about the grapheme, so letter and phoneme sound relationship. And we teach that through very explicit phonics lessons. And at the moment in class, we have introduced students to the letters S, A, T, P, I, N, M, G. And we're just starting to look over what those graphemes are and what are the phonemes as well that go with it and what sounds they make. Following on from that, in phonological awareness, we look at things like rhyming, syllables, phoneme segmentation and phoneme manipulation as well. And I mentioned earlier, we are working through a Hegarty's program where we focus on all of those different components as well. And that really sets the kids up for success in their reading and writing. In reading, we will be engaging with decodable readers early in kindergarten, and that will be through teacher-led guided settings. And more information about how you can access some of that at home will come out later with our homework. Writing, so we're trying to follow a writing process of modelled and guided and independent experiences so the kids to engage in writing. At the moment, we are focusing on things like writing our names and developing those skills early on. And in speaking and listening, we do engage in a lot of informal games and activities throughout the day. And our early focus in kindergarten is, I guess, building those skills to be able to work in groups and to be able to have conversations with others in their learning environment.
I'll just talk you through a little bit about numeracy and how what that looks like in our hub. So in maths, we explore the 3 different substrands, including number and algebra, measurement and space, as well as statistics and probability. We also engage in various number talks throughout the week, and students are able to represent whole numbers, they combine numbers, separate quantities and form groups. This then gives them an opportunity for them to express their mathematical thinking and provide reasoning when working through solutions. Students also regularly engage in counting drills throughout the day in formal and informal settings. So we've been doing lots of work with counting, especially from 0 to 30. And we're also working at the moment during this week, we're working to gather some data on our students just to inform our teaching in mathematics and assist them with their groupings, which we can then cater for the needs of our students.
So as a school, DCPS uses a pedagogy called project-based learning. And what that is it's just that students explore one challenging question, but they do it in depth over many weeks. And the idea is that the question is grounded in their real world lived experience, and they develop critical thinking and research skills while they explore this. So at the moment, our challenging question is, how can we make our school a really awesome place to learn? And it's a great way for us to integrate a range of key learning areas like science or personal health and development into their learning and embed it in a meaningful experience, which really maximizes their understanding and their retention of that learning. And then at the end, they'll have created a product, and they will share that with an authentic audience. So somebody who will see their work, and that just helps them to feel pride in their work and to get to show what they've been doing.
So in physical development, health and physical education, or also known as PDHPE, we really established those fundamental movement skills, particularly in kindergarten. These growth motor skills like throwing, catching, kicking, jumping, hopping, skipping, balancing, and stretching. We also incorporate dancing and yoga during our lessons. And as mentioned earlier, we also really encourage healthy eating, especially with crunch and sip incorporated in our programs, and really encourage a healthy diet, especially with lunch and recess, and keeping really hydrated with lots of water. We also encourage the students to remember to bring their hats to school and out in the playground for sun safety. We establish things and discuss qualities of what it looks like with a good friend. And I'll talk a little bit more about hygiene later on as well.
So within our hub, we're working hard to build an environment that creates wonder and exploration and interest. And and a way to do that is through play-based learning. So we're trying to incorporate hands-on play experiences to support the children with their content knowledge, to build relationships, and to promote self-efficacy as well. And we are aiming to have the students engage in play-based learning every week and numerous times throughout the week. And in the photos, you can see some of your children engaging in some different play settings early in kindergarten when they started.
Another really big part of starting school and those early kindergarten times is just developing their fine motor skills. So we're focusing on pencil grip, cutting, pinching, tracing, and things like that at the moment to help prepare them to, write neatly later, and all those things they're going to be able to need to do in their fingers. So we're going to give them opportunities to practice that every day in the everyday things that we're doing in the classroom and activities, for example, in literacy groups or numeracy games, things like that.
The hygiene at school, especially in times like these, hygiene is very important. We encourage students to wash their hands throughout the day, especially before and after eating and going to the bathroom as well. And although masks aren't compulsory for students, they are accessible in our hub. So whenever or if ever they decide to wear one, they are there just in our hub, so they can just ask the teacher or grab one for themselves. We also highly encourage students to use hand sanitizer when entering and leaving the classroom, especially before and after recess and lunch. And we do also have to be very mindful in our hub as well in Wubin, because we do have a student who is immunocompromised.
Library. So hopefully everybody has seen, we made a school loop announcement yesterday that our library day has been changed. If you originally saw that it was Thursday, from now on, it will be on Mondays. So Mondays starting from next week will be their library day as well as sport day. So these are our librarians here. You can see Mrs. Timmons and Mrs. Bryan. The librarian that your kindy kids will be working with is Mrs. Carly Timmons. And the library at Denham Court is part of our RFF program, or our teacher release program. So the students will go and they will engage in literature and learning about books, and they will get an opportunity to borrow those books while one of the teachers might be free to do other duties like parent calls and things like that. Please note that your kid will need to have a library bag in order to borrow. So please, on Mondays, if you could check in that they have got a library bag in their backpack. And then also just that when that book comes home, if you're excited to read it with them, that's great. But also maybe just those conversations about taking good care of those books too, so that they can come back and be in great condition for the other students as well. That would be really appreciated. You can see it up on the second level there, but these are some pictures of the inside, which we're really proud of. It's a really beautiful space, just full of natural light and full of books that are increasing every day. So we're really excited to get to share that with our students. It's a really beautiful space.
So here are some important days for you to note down, and it's a good thing that sports and library falls on the Monday. So just easier to remember that if you can just remind your child to dress in their sports uniform on the Monday, as well as bring in their library bag on the Monday as well. With homework, we'll be using some online digital platforms such as Mathletics, focusing on numeracy, and Wooshka, drawing into the literacy skills, which will be rolled out later in this term. And if you can just stay in the loop on School Bag, we will inform you there as well. With the folders that you've brought in for your child, we'll be using them for sight words, which will also be sent home at a later time. So stay tuned and we'll get back to you about homework not too far away.
Okay, on the screen, there are a few different ways you can get in contact with us if you need to. So School Loop is an app that you might already be a part of, and that's just where you can receive daily news from the school, and it will be whole school updates as well as Wubin Hub updates as well. So it's a great app to download if you haven't already. Link Ed Hero is coming soon. We're currently in the process of getting this new communication platform started, but when we are ready with that, we will pass on that information to all our parents as well. And then finally, you can also call the school or email the school if you need one of the Wubin Hub teachers to get back to you, or to make any sort of, to come with any sort of questions or inquiries as well. And on the next page, we've just got a few group photos of our kindergarten Wubin 2022 students for you to enjoy.
So just before we come to an end, if you could please scan this QR code to complete the survey, we would really appreciate it. And once you've done that, please feel free to leave this meeting. But thank you so much for tuning in tonight. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact us, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. So thank you so much, parents and caregivers, for coming in tonight.
Also feel free to add any questions in the Q&A. We will stay on here and answer them. So if you do have any questions, please pop them into the Q&A. Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm just going to jump in and answer a question that I can see is coming up quite frequently about how will you know daily what your child is learning in Wubin Hub. I guess 2 points that I'd like to make on that. At no point is there going to be a daily update on what children are learning. The syllabus outcomes that the teachers in Wubin and across the school are teaching towards are for the entire year, and the content that we deliver changes throughout our teaching and learning programs each term. We will give you updates around what that looks like in terms of maybe our termly overview or similar, but there will not be daily updates. As you can understand and appreciate, for each teacher, there is over 20 children. And in Wubin Hub alone, there are 80 children amongst our 4 teachers. They cannot call you and contact you on a daily basis to let you know what learning is happening. And generally the learning takes more than a day. It's not usually one focus on one day and a different focus on another day. The focus usually continues for at least a fortnight and sometimes longer, depending on the complexity of what it is that the children are learning. Miss Marcus already mentioned a little bit about Link Ed Hero. This is a platform we are looking into and hoping that we can get up and running really soon. And that will give you the opportunity to see a little bit more around what your children are learning with their learning goals that they're having within the classroom, and show you work samples that they might choose to share with you. And when I say they, I mean your children might choose to share with you. But this is a platform that we are waiting. It's not something that we are waiting to do. It is actually something that's still with Department of Education at the moment. So at the moment, we're just waiting for their approval on licensing, and then we will hopefully have that up and running as soon as we can. But I just wanted to clarify, I know for lots of you, this is your first child coming to school, and you maybe have had them at daycare and you've had those daily updates. That is not something that we can continue to do in a school setting because the ratio of teacher to children has changed. But we are more than happy to have conversations with you if you have a concern that has arisen, or you would like to know, I guess more of a termly focus around what we are teaching. The homework that we will send home is the way that you'll be able to follow up with your children around what's happening in the classroom, particularly in kindergarten. At the beginning, it's all the foundations of learning. So they are learning about sounds and how to use those sounds to create very simple words. They're learning how to recognize, numbers and how to represent that number, how to make the number 5 with some objects and so forth. So please, I guess, be aware that we're not going to constantly tell you those things, daily, but we will keep you in the loop as much as we can, and know that our focus is not something that changes each day. It's a focus that usually will be an ongoing focus till we are sure that your children have grasped that concept and have a real understanding around it.